Okay, welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Please silence all cell phones. And I'll introduce the board and the staff. We have Jerry Patomas on my right. He's an associate member. In from him is Frank Duffy, a full member. Mark Finneran to my right, a full member. Sitting here soon will be James Morse, the chair. He's just running late. I'm Suzanne Murphy, clerk, acting chair for now. And this is Tony Pertucci, associate member. Noreen Stockman, the zoning administrator, and Ashley DeMello, the office assistant. And tonight, Jerry and Tony will both be voting until Jim comes. The Zoning Board of Appeals is charged with applying the state zoning statutes as well as the town zoning bylaws in reviewing and voting on applications. All decisions are made through the public hearing process. Our goal is to hear testimony from the applicants and the public and to allow a full and fair decision of the project prior to rendering a decision. Number one, to begin each hearing, the clerk will read the public announcement for the hearing and read pertinent information from the file. Two, the applicant or the applicant's representative will then have 15 minutes to make a presentation. Time may be extended by the vote of the board. Three, the board will then question the applicant. Four, next, the public will be invited to comment. Public comments should be directed only at the project. Please refrain from making personal or derogatory statements, and can include an opinion in favor or in opposition, or to ask a question about the project. Comments should be limited to 2 minutes. The chair will limit discussion in the interest of time if comments become repetitive. All members of the public wishing to speak should wait to be recognized by the chair and should come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Please speak into the microphone. It does not amplify your voice, but is provided for the cable viewers. 5, the board may continue the hearing to a future date and time. Otherwise, when the board is satisfied that enough information has been presented to make a decision, the hearing will be closed. After the hearing is closed, no more testimony may be taken. 6, the board shall discuss the proposal among themselves, then make a motion to approve or deny the application. The motion will be followed by a summary of key findings and conditions. The affirmative vote of 4 members, supermajority, is required for the approval of special permits, variances, or appeal. A split vote, 3 to 2, is a failure to carry and will result in a denial. Any zoning board of appeals decision may be appealed. So tonight, since Jim is not here, we're gonna start with the Rapucci case, which is continued. We'll do right when he gets here, or whatever his choice is. But we'll start off with Blakeman, 64 Cypress Street. And I have Kevin P. and Paula, I'm not going to attack that last name, Blakeman, 9 Clover Terrace, Natick, Mass. Applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit to section 240-10-2A and 240-11-3A, parentheses 4, of the Code of Falmouth to remove the existing deck, construct an addition and a detached garage exceeding 20% lot coverage by structures on subject property known as 64 Cypress. And I have a few findings. I have reports from town departments. Let's see, I have the water department. There will be no water to the garage. That's that. Planning has no comment. Engineering. The application was reviewed for impacts to public rights-of-way and public utilities. Cypress is a public right-of-way in this area. No alterations are proposed to the right-of-way. Any changes within the right-of-way would require filing a permit with the engineering department. Any connections or alterations to public utilities will require permission from the appropriate town department. 3, the project must not direct any stormwater runoff to public property, abutters, or public rights-of-way. 4, dry wells are proposed as we typically recommend for new roofs. Note that the new roof shall be connected to the dry wells. There is no indication of that on these plans. 5, erosion controls are shown on the plan and appear to be adequate to protect abutting properties on the public right-of-way. We recommend the following condition be included or similar in any approval. Construction of the project shall follow the town's soil erosion and sediment control standard conditions. Document can be found on the engineering division's page of the town's website. References to the Department of Public Works Engineering Division shall be replaced with the Zoning Board of Appeals, so will be the permitting authority. And that's what I have.
Thank you.
Take it away. Tell us who you are.
Jonathan Poloni from Senni and Associates on behalf of the applicants, Kevin and Paula Blakeman. Mr. Blakeman is here in the audience this evening. We are here asking for a special permit under section 240-11.3A to exceed lot coverage up to 25%. This lot is located in the RC district. It's a legally non-conforming lot on a lot that's 7,200 square feet in area. It's presently improved with a single-family dwelling that is shown on this plan. It was built around 1960. It did have a rear deck added onto it at some point. The present lot area, or lot coverage by structures rather, is 19%. So it currently satisfies the zoning bylaw. Has 3 bedrooms, and that is not planning to change. What the plan is to add an addition onto the back as a living room, and to add a detached garage that will serve off of the driveway. So a place to park a car. What this will add is it will add a bit to the lot coverage. It will put it over 20%, but it will be under the 25% allowed under the bylaw. The height of the garage is modest, and 11 feet 5 inches. It fits in well with the existing residence, that's 13 feet 7 inches. And with the addition onto the house, there will be no change in the maximum height there. The bulk calculations that have been provided show that this proposal fits within the characteristics of the neighborhood. There are many other properties in this area along Mara Vista that also exceed lot coverage. Quite a few have the same lot coverage that we are proposing here. There are no effects to shadowing on neighboring properties. There's no change on the height. There's not going to be any effect on the nitrogen because there's no change in the bedroom count. And I don't think there's any effect on the views and vistas either. So we respectfully request that you approve this project with conditions, with the addition of the condition from the engineering department.
Sounds good. You want to start?
Sure.
Go for it.
The changes appear to be similar to what's in the neighborhood now. It doesn't appear that it's going to be any more detrimental to the community itself. But the plans that you're presenting, are they to scale? Because I don't have anything to scale right now. Will they be to scale, the ones that are presented?
If they are not, they will be, yes. The full sets of, I was understanding that the full-scale plans were submitted, the architectural plans were to scale as well. Are you talking about the site plan?
I'm only asking because this is not to scale, but I suspect it's the size of the plans.
I think
The
it
ones
is.
that will become official plans will be to scale and dimensioned.
Correct.
Thank you.
That could be a condition. Mark, do you have any questions?
No, it was pretty straightforward. It seems certainly reasonable. I didn't notice anything that was out of line.
Frank?
I concur with Mark. It looks straightforward to me. I'm satisfied.
I'm satisfied, no questions.
I am too. There's a lot coverage sheet too. I did see that in here, if you want to see it. Anybody from the public have any comments? Quiet group. What do you guys want to do?
Motion to close?
Motion to close?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor to close?
Aye.
Aye. So we can discuss. I don't really see much to discuss myself. I would like the scale,
Absolutely.
yeah. And the engineering, I think that's all I have. Anybody else have anything?
No, I think this is a reasonable ask for the board to consider, and I would move to approve as submitted.
Second that.
So that's a motion to approve, second
Yes.
with Mark? All set, everyone? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Great. Now, let's do the
Any
findings.
conditions? Oh, findings.
Findings. Let's see, it's in an RC district. Overlay is Great Pond and Little Pond. The lot size is 7,200. It's on a public road. Existing is 19% over 23.8 for structure and paving. Proposed is 24.38 over 29.29. He indicated the garage would be 11.5 in height. The house is 13.7. It's sewered. And I think that's all I have for findings. Any other findings you can think of, Noreen?
No change in bedrooms?
Correct, yep.
What was it?
No change in bedroom.
Right,
Yep. We have the lot coverage worksheet.
yep. I think that's all I have now. Conditions? We'll have a copy of the, to scale,
Yes.
and the engineering, and any other department recommendations.
So the only thing I would add is, where they're going to be just below the 25% lot coverage maximum, that you would ask for an as-built at completion, but prior to final sign-off by the building department, to ensure that they remain below the 25%.
That's
Good idea. Yep. Any other conditions anyone can think of? Yeah. I think that's it. We're in good shape. All right, next, we have Pieri.
We vote? Do we vote?
Didn't we? No. You did not? All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. I thought we did, sorry. Sorry. All right, so let's do Pierre. All right, I gotta get out my folder, hold on. All right, we have Nathan and Suzanne Pieri. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's right.
196 McToxic Road, Wapoit, Mass. Applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to section 240-6.6B, parentheses 2, parentheses small b, and 240-11.4A, parentheses 1, and parentheses small I, of the Code of Falmouth to construct a detached garage exceeding 900 square feet in size and located within the front yard more than 50 feet from the front property line. The subject property is 196 McToxic. And who do we have?
So my name is Nathan Pieri, representing myself, and this is my wife Suzanne. Thank you. So we'll get smarter the next time. Don't have a presentation, but I think everyone has the drawings in front of them. I think what I'd like to do first, since you effectively outlined the request in the permit, is to talk first about the site plan. And so in the upper right-hand corner of the site plan from Mike Burselli of Falmouth Engineering, you can see the overall property. We're on 3 acres here at 196 Metoxit. The garage is in the lower third of the property, so you can see the rough outline there and get a sense of how far back it is set from the road. So it is set back 127.8 feet from Metoxit Road and 89 feet from our closest neighbor. That's a heavily wooded lot. You can barely see the clearing from the road, so we don't think that will present any concerns with our neighbors. The garage itself is a 3-car garage with a workshop and boat storage. So it is a little over 1,500 square feet, roughly 1,540 square feet. It is a 2-floor structure. The idea is to put some unheated storage on the second floor. We will keep the height of the ridge to 22 feet or below, based on the average elevation of the street side, which has been measured by Mike from Mike Burselli. The reason for the size of the garage is that we have 3 cars and a boat that we'd like to store there in the wintertime. The unheated storage is because we're in a 1941 Cape on the Cape that does not have a basement that's suitable for storing anything, and nor do we have very many closets. So the idea behind this was to get out of our storage unit in Wareham, have a place to store our household goods. We moved from a much larger house to a much smaller house. So that's the rough situation of the garage. And if there are no questions there, I think you also see that there's a rough construction drawing of the actual building that's proposed. I have been working on construction drawings. It's exactly the same footprint. We might change some of the ceiling heights and some of the roof pitches, but other than that, it's pretty much exactly what's shown with your construction drawings. What else can I say? So I contacted engineering.
I was just about to read the departments.
Okay,
Do you want me to
sure.
do that? I'll do that. I forgot to do it at the beginning. I apologize.
Sure.
Let's see, we have, assessors have no comment, planning no comment, no water department, no water will be connected to the proposed garage. The proposed dry wells are not, confirm that the proposed dry wells are not located within 10 feet of the existing water service connection to the house. And then we have engineering. This application was reviewed for impacts to public rights-of-way. McToxic Road is a public right-of-way in this area. No alterations are proposed to the right-of-way. Any changes within the right-of-way would require filing a permit with the engineering division. Number 2, any connections or alterations to public utilities will require permission from the appropriate town department. 3, the project must not direct any stormwater runoff to public property, abutters, or public rights-of-way. 4, dry wells are proposed for the new roofs as we typically recommend. Based on the size of the lot and location of the proposed work, erosion and sediment should not impact abutting properties or the town right-of-way. However, the contractor should be held responsible for implementing erosion and sediment controls if conditions change. And we recommend the following condition be included. Construction activities shall not cause erosion or sedimentation to the abutting properties or town right-of-way. That was engineering. Concom has no comment. Let's see, and that's all I have.
Right, and I can confirm that the dry wells are at least 10 feet from the water service. The water service most likely runs right down the middle of the driveway. The dry wells are located in an area that was heavily wooded for many years, so that there's no possibility that they ran the water service down through the forest there, so.
Sounds good. Any questions up here? Jerry, you want to start off?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
All set?
I'm all set.
Other than I'd never been down that road.
Did you get lost too, like I did? Did you go on Meadow?
No, but it's every bit as nice as I
It
expected.
it is
He
lovely.
certainly has enough property here to do what he wants. Without any problem. So I don't have any.
Tony?
A couple of questions. I really can't read these plans, they're very small. What is the height below the collar tie? As you come up at the top of the stairs, what's the height from the floor to the collar tie there? I can't read that.
So you're talking about the construction drawing?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe, I've got a larger print here that is the scale. Is it, you just point to what you're referring to?
Right there. Can you, I can't read it. Can you read it?
Right, so to the top of the ridge will be less than 22 feet. In that drawing,
No, right here. This, from the floor at the top of the stairs
Yep.
to this collar tie right here, which would be the ceiling.
I think it should be roughly 7'6". In the construction drawings, as I mentioned, we're going to go with a 9'6" first floor height, and then a 7'6" second floor height.
My
So that
concern,
would change a little bit.
thank you.
Right.
My concern is that it indicates it's going to be unheated and not going to be used for habitation, but it's large enough that you could do that. Will there ever be plans to use that as an apartment?
No, we have a large enough house on the property, and we don't need additional
because we have an accessory apartment bylaw for things like that, but, and
Understood.
this is over the size it would be. Would you object to having anything notated in the plan that this will not be used as an apartment without coming back for a special permit for that purpose?
I'd be happy to come back for a special permit if our plans change, so yes, please.
Thank you very much.
There is no water to the garage.
Yeah, but it can easily be done.
That it can. Anyone else have any other questions up here? The public have any questions? Quiet group. Love it. All right. Any motion from anybody up here?
Close. Second.
Motion to close? All those in favor?
Aye.
This one seems,
Motion to approve.
yeah,
Second.
thank you. Let's do findings. It's in an RA district. Overlay is Wacoit. It's on 3.09 acres. It's on a public right-of-way. Existing is 1.7 over 20, and proposed is 2.8. Existing is 1.7 over 2, proposed is 2.8 over 3.1. There is no water to the garage now. The applicant stated it will be 22 feet high, garage. He did say three-car garage, but it's actually 4 bay, because it's 3 car, 1 boat.
Correct.
I guess that's the way we would word it. Is that correct, Noreen? Word it like that? Okay. The applicant has submitted that the dry wells are more than 10 feet. No letters, support or opposition. Anything else I skipped in findings?
So I guess they're also in the flood zone X as well as the
Yes.
AG 11 and BE 13.
Yes, I did forget those, thank you. I think that's it for findings. Shall we vote and then do conditions?
I think the conditions are
Conditions
fairly
first?
straightforward, and just, let's do them.
I don't think, yeah. As per plan, do you want to have that plan amended to show?
I think we have a copy
We
of
have a
that
copy that
within the
shows.
record.
What I'd like to do, if possible, is to have it notated that it will not be used as an apartment without coming back for a special permit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
We will,
Yep,
yeah,
agreed.
we'll include that.
That's a good condition, yep.
So that would be a
Sedimentation control if
single-family use for the property.
Sedimentation control if necessary.
Yep. The condition, yep. Anybody got any other ones? I think that's it, right? I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll give it to you.
Thanks.
Second.
Thanks. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, enjoy.
All right, thank you. Do you want to take the extra plan?
I think we have that copy.
Yeah, you have the scale copy,
Yeah.
right.
So we're good. Thank you.
All right, we have Edgewater. All right, we have Lee Viola, trustee, 293 Edgewater Drive East, in East Falmouth, Mass. Applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to sections 240-102A and 240-11.3A4 in parentheses of the Code of Falmouth to remove an existing carport and construct an addition in its place exceeding 20% lot coverage by structure on subject property known as 293 Edgewater Drive East. And let's see what I have from departments. Planning, no comment. Water, this plan does not show any changes to existing water service. Engineering. This application was reviewed for impacts to public rights-of-way and public utilities. Edgewater Drive East is a public right-of-way in this area. No alterations are proposed to the right-of-way. Any changes within the right-of-way would require filing a permit with the engineering division. Any connections or alterations to public utilities will require permission from the appropriate town department. 3, the project must not direct any stormwater runoff to public property, abutters, or public rights-of-ways. 4, dry wells are proposed for the new roof, as we typically recommend. 5, erosion controls are shown on the plan and appear to be mostly adequate to protect abutting properties and the public right-of-way. We recommend that a silt sack be required to be installed in the catch basin in Edgewater Drive in front of the residence prior to the start of construction. And then we recommend the following condition be included. Construction of this project shall follow the town's soil erosion and sediment control standard conditions. Document can be found in the Engineering Division's page of the town website. References to the Department of Public Works Engineering Division shall be replaced with the Zoning Board of Appeals, who will be the permitting authority. And we have Concom approval, if I'm correct. Notes are missing. Concom has an approval. Just getting through that. And then that's all we have for comments. Like, whoa, wait, water. Nope, that's it. That's what we have for, everything. We're good, Kev, take it away.
Thank you very much. For the record, Kevin Clower. I'm an attorney here in town, and I am before you tonight representing Peter and Lee Viola, the owners of 293 Edgewater Drive East. They're seeking to alter the existing non-conforming dwelling with a modest addition on the northeastern side of this house. 293 Edgewater Drive is located towards the southern end of the Seacoast Shores Peninsula. It's a dense residential neighborhood. This particular lot is just over 8,000 square feet, and it's in the RC zoning district. We've spent a lot of time in this neighborhood lately. There's recently been special permits issued for 72 Woodside, which this actually abuts, 182 Edgewater, 205 Edgewater, and 50 Seaspray, all within just a few hundred feet of this property. Presently, there's a 3-bedroom, single-family dwelling with an attached carport. The footprint is 1,603 square feet, which is 19.9% lot coverage by structure. It's non-conforming. The front yard setback is 17.9 feet, where 25 is required. The side yard setback to the south is 6.6 feet, where 10 is required. Otherwise, it's conforming to lot coverage requirements. The applicant's proposing a modest single-story addition in place of the existing carport, which will allow for reconfiguration of the bedrooms and the expansion of the living space. This proposal adds only 40 square feet of lot coverage and will maintain the existing ridge height of 12 feet 11 inches. The proposal does not impact the existing non-conforming setbacks. Though there's a minor increase to lot coverage by structure, it will be 20.3%, which is allowable by special permit, and it does not increase the bedroom count. Due to the existing non-conforming setbacks and the lot coverage by structure, this does require a special permit under sections 240.10.2A and 240.11.3A4, formerly 240.3C and 240.69E. Under 10.2A, pre-existing non-conforming structures can be changed by special permit provided the board finds that they're not substantially more detrimental than what exists. You're asked to consider the standards of 240.12.1E and whether or not the alteration creates any new dimensional nonconformities, impairs views and vistas, and reasonably conforms to the neighborhood. In this case, as we noted, there's no new nonconformity created. The existing nonconforming setbacks are unaffected, and there's no changes to the views and vistas. This will very much conform to the neighborhood. Under 240.11.3A4, lot coverage by structures exceeding 20% is allowed in the residential C zoning district, but does require a special permit. And in granting that, the board is asked to consider the size and height of the structure in relation to the neighborhood, the effect of shadow on adjacent properties, the impacts on views and vistas from public ways, and the effect of nitrogen on coastal abatements. Here, there's no impact on views and vistas from the public way. It's a single story in line with the existing ridge. There's no impact on nitrogen. It's the same number of bedrooms as exist today. And as to the size and height, this footprint is increasing by only 40 square feet. We did submit a lot comparison worksheet looking at 42 nearby properties. We're within 10 square feet of the median footprint and well below the average gross floor area. This project, as proposed, represents an improvement for the owners and is by no means substantially more detrimental than what exists. The existing non-conforming setbacks are not affected. There's no new dimensional non-conformities, and there's no adverse effects to overbalance the benefits. Further, this meets the requirements of 240.10.2A, 240.11.3A4, and 240.12.1E. For these reasons, I would ask that you grant the special permit, and I am, of course, happy to address any questions that you might have.
Let's start with you, Frank.
No, I went out, I took a look at the property, and I appreciate Mr. Clower's presentation here. I think this is a reasonable request, and I think that the finished product will fit in the neighborhood fine. I'm okay.
No, it's modest, if anything. I just, I see is this deck, in the front, that's new?
There's an existing deck, but there's a roof going over a portion
All
of
right,
it.
that's where the difference between 62 and 40 is. Okay. That was my only question. That seems fine, straightforward.
Jerry?
No comments.
All set? Tony?
I think I went out, it certainly fits within the community, no questions.
Great, good project. Okay,
Motion to close the hearing?
Oh,
I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, comment?
We'll let them talk for a minute. Anybody from the public like to comment? Take it away.
Motion to close?
Second.
By Tony. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'll do some findings, maybe? Findings before anything else, is that okay?
Makes sense.
All right, the findings, it's in an RC district. It's in Wacoit Bay, flood zone AE 12X. It's 8,071 square foot lot. Public right away. Existing is 19.9 over 20.4. Proposed is 23.9 over 24.4.
Suzanne, it's actually,
Am I wrong?
it's existing is 19.9 over 23.9, proposed is 20.4.
23.9.
Proposed is,
she was, I think, staying with the lot coverage by structures.
I was doing both, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going up to 2024 structures only, correct?
20.4, yes.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
sorry.
I had the height at 1211. Conservation has approved, no letters of support or opposition. There is a lot comparison sheet. No change in bedrooms. I think that's all I have for findings. Oh,
They also
We're all
have
done,
an
Jim.
existing
Time to go.
shed on the property.
We just
that I
finished up.
will presume is staying, right, the shed, okay. Lot coverage worksheet we got.
Yep,
Yep.
I said that.
Yep.
I think that's all I have for findings, right? Do we have any other motion?
Condition.
We'll do that after we vote? No? Do conditions now?
Yeah.
All right. No change in bedrooms? No further structures? Engineering? Concom is approved. Any other conditions, anybody else?
Per plan, they have a note here that the
Per plan?
helical supports have to be on site. I think it means soil absorption, yes.
Yeah, it's, we've been in touch with the health department, and that'll be cantilevered over with helical
So
piles.
long as it's okay with them.
Gonna open up Falmouth Heights.
The engineering department requested a silt sack in the catch basin in front of the dwelling prior to any construction. They also requested the soil erosion and sediment control standard conditions. I think that's about it.
That's all I had. I had no other conditions either. No. Looks like a good project. Everybody all set?
Good to go.
I have a motion?
Approve.
Second?
There you go. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm good.
Thank you
Great.
very much,
Thank you,
appreciate your
Kevin.
time.
Take it away, Jim.
Welcome.
I'm on vacay.
The audience and members of the board, if it wasn't announced, my apologies for being late this evening. We had a jury trial in Attleboro. The jury came back at 5 minutes of 5, and the judge held us late. My apologies for being tardy this evening. We're on,
Thursday night, no less.
well, better than being a Friday night. We're on 5023.
We are, yes.
Next up is hearing number 05023, Falmouth Heights Real Estate LLC, 269 Grand Avenue, Falmouth, requesting a special permit to close the existing ramp and corner porch area.
We have Falmouth Heights Real Estate LLC, 18 St. Mary Street, Newton, Mass. Apply to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Sections 240-102A of the Code of Falmouth to enclose the existing ramp and corner porch area on subject property known as 269 Grand Avenue in Falmouth. And from town departments, planning has no comment. Water, no alterations to the existing water service are proposed. And engineering. This application was reviewed for impacts to public rights-of-way and public utilities. Grand Ave and Central Park Ave are public rights-of-way in this area. A portion of the existing ramp and proposed enclosure falls within the Central Park Avenue right-of-way. This work will require a street opening permit from the DPW Engineering Division. We request that the board either require the applicant to attain an approved permit from the Engineering Division prior to closing the hearing for the special permit, or that the board include the following condition if the special permit is approved. The condition being the applicant shall contain an approved street opening permit and post any required bond with the Engineering Division prior to the start of construction. The applicant shall complete the work as approved by the Engineering Division in the street opening permit. Number 2, any connections or alterations to public utilities will require permission from the appropriate town department. 3, a representative for the applicant came to the DPW to inquire about stormwater requirements for this work. We determined that since there is no change in impervious areas, no change in stormwater flow patterns, and no available space to infiltrate the roof, no stormwater mitigation is required for the roof over the existing ramp. 4, a portion of the existing ramp and the proposed enclosure are located within the public right-of-way. Permanent installation of objects not owned by the town located within the municipal right-of-way typically require a license from the Select Board. We defer to the Zoning Board of Appeals in this matter, and it should be addressed prior to any approval or as a condition in any approval. 5, silt stacks will be installed in the 2 catch basins in the Central Park Avenue prior to the start of any construction. We will include this requirement for the street opening permit. And we recommend the following condition be included. Construction activity shall not cause erosion or sedimentation to the abutting properties or town right-of-way. That's engineering. No comment there. Conservation agent. Please see attached referral. Am I missing it? Oh, I think they have not gone to the Conservation Commission yet.
Right.
Okay. We have that issue. And that's from Conservation. Fire Department has no issues. Scott McCann, per my records, they have seating for 100. I think he may be recommending that not change, but I'm just saying that. And that's what I have for departments.
Any correspondence, letters of support or
No.
opposition?
No letters, no support. No letters either way. Put it that way. Sorry.
For the applicant, good evening.
I'm Steve Devlin, Central Cape Construction, designer and builder for the property, representing owner Alex Kahn and Rob Lowen, the manager for Shipwreck Restaurant. We've done a lot of improvements on the restaurant, and we're improving the hotels, the 2 hotels on the property as well. This is part of an ongoing plan over the next 5 years to bring this property even to a better situation than it is right now. This particular step is a glassed-in 5-foot by 53-foot airlock enclosure to protect the main entry to the restaurant. I think for quite a while, we couldn't even use the main entrance because the wind is so violent there, it blew the door off. So $5,000 later, we have a new door. But it's more than that. It's not safe. People will get knocked over when the door opened on the way in, on a windy day and things like that. So the main reason for the enclosure is really public safety. It's not going to add any parking or any seats or anything like that. It's on the existing sidewalk that is on the property, although it's, of course, within the setback.
it does have a small part that goes beyond that on the north, on the top edge, as you can see that. Beyond that, there's actually been some incidents from the softball field, where men softball have hit the ball that far and hit people in line, the lefties, I guess, in line, and there's been some minor injuries over the years for that. So that's the purpose of what we're trying to build, and is there the owners here and the manager, if there's any other safety questions or anything you want to ask about the structure.
Questions from the
We
board?
need to appoint,
Oh, yes, we need to appoint,
I don't care.
who was
Appoint
the,
someone.
They both were.
we each had one?
No,
Just
they've done,
appoint
they've done.
Everybody.
Question. I volunteer.
You raised the question, Jerry, I'll point you. We'll start with board questions. Jerry, take it away.
I'm fine with it.
Frank?
I think this is a reasonable request.
Mark?
I've seen many a door blown off. Even fixed one myself one night.
For that.
It's certainly needed at night. I imagine that these aluminum doors are gonna be a little more durable than what they've had, so it's a very good idea.
Have you applied to conservation yet at all?
I have. I know what they said was, and that we can abide by this as well. They'll only approve it up to 40 feet, not 53. They have a 200 square foot limit for new construction in the velocity zone. I'll review that with them, but if you look at the part that goes over the property line into the road a little bit, if we had to come back 13 feet, it wouldn't hurt the project too bad. We'd like to keep all of it for safety, but I think that was the conservation's point to me, and that they would address it after this hearing.
If you bring it back 13 feet from the front, isn't that gonna leave the front door?
We were coming from the back of
Oh, from the back.
restaurant. That actually goes over the property line slightly. I would suggest
Oh, I see.
if
All
we
right.
have to take it down to 40 feet, I would ask to just remove that part.
I think it's an outstanding project. I have one question about the 1.3 feet that's in the town right away. Do you have, since it was brought up by engineering, do you have a license to use that 1.3 feet?
Not that I know of.
It can be a condition.
Yeah, they'd have to go to the selectmen for the license after this was approved, I
So
believe.
that can be a condition then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is this going to become standing room for patrons, or just literally just going to be,
Yeah, that won't, they didn't get through this. This won't be a comfortable place to be necessarily, although it'll be heated. It's just gonna be enough for people to pass and get into the building, but no, it's not gonna be a holding tank. you know,
any
for the
change,
landlord.
you'd have to go in front of those selectmen to get a change of liquor license, just want to make sure that's on the record and clear. I agree, I think it's a good project and certainly needed based on the wind.
Noreen, can you explain to us the license part? They worded it a little differently in here.
So for the select board, anything that's in the town's road layout, obviously they license. And now obviously the ramp is already existing in the road layout. And though where you are going to
Not yet.
enclose that would extend into the road layout, you would require a license from the select board for that piece.
We're shy of the road by about 8 inches, yeah.
It already exists in the layout anyway, so.
Yeah.
Can I just get a
Ken.
point of clarification on that? They won't need a license so long as their enclosure starts after that area?
Well, so here's the thing, is the ramp is existing, encroaching. So technically, there should be a license granted if it was not prior done so. And I'm kind of guessing with the age of it, that it probably existed. And, you know, it was probably one of those whoops situations when it was originally built, where somebody didn't realize it was slightly over. And it may be the case that if you are slightly shortening your entry, that your entry may not exceed into the street if that's the case. So,
Right.
you know, it might be a case of
It seems like
select board.
there's two
trying-
good reasons to make it a little shorter. Yeah, I get it, yeah,
I think it's a wonderful project,
Yeah.
thank you.
thank you.
Just for clarification, are you installing doors on that actual entry, or would the entry be open and then a door be within?
The $5,000 door is gonna stay, it's already in there. That there are doors on the end for the winter. They would open out, and I believe, if I'm jumping ahead, but I think they would be left open all the time, as much as possible in the summer, so, because people would use the sidewalk still, that aren't using the restaurant. So, there are doors, but they'll probably, the winter will be the time when they're in use more than the summer.
How will the extra doors,
Oh, no,
affect
go ahead.
ADA? Will that?
Yeah, we have engineered drawing for all the handicap and fire suppression, everything's all laid out on a separate plan, drawing to the building department.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, I was thinking exactly the same thing. And can you describe that little bump out that you're proposing as part of this? Is that going to be part of an
In
entry?
the corner?
Yeah.
The corner, that's an existing footprint, that's the closest to the water. Right now, it's really unusable, it's kind of a dangerous door to go through, so the owners, we want to make it just part of the inside, and that would be an area where the people could wait. But we're just enclosing that with the same impact glass, and removing the door inside, and taking the exit sign down. But yeah, we're just turning that into hold-over waiting space inside. But that, yeah, does not affect the footprint.
Any follow-up questions from the board? Public comment? Seeing none, how would the board like to proceed?
Motion to close.
Motion made to close by Mr. Finneran. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Murphy. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing is closed, no more testimony will be taken. Do we need any discussion on the project?
Think not.
How would you like to proceed? Great.
Maybe it would be conditions or findings that they, I'm confused, they may have to, or they should apply to the Board of Selectmen
I'm
for a
comfortable,
license.
I'm comfortable conditioning an approval
Yeah.
that they have to obtain a license from the town. This is it's pre-existing, it's been there for a long
Yeah.
time. Just
And
makes
the
them
other thing
follow the
is,
procedure.
They need, I was confused whether they're gonna get Concom and then come back to us. We should have a condition.
They'd be subject to any Concom conditions.
I would recommend that we approve it as 53 feet and let them work it out with the Concom.
I think that's reasonable.
Especially seeing how the part that is in the layout has been there for the better part of 30 years.
I guess the other option for the board too is if they do have to slightly shorten the length of that enclosure with conservation, they would technically need an amendment from you for the change. If you want, we can do that administratively.
I'm comfortable allowing the zoning administrator, if it's shortening it to be administratively approved. Is the board okay with that?
Yeah.
Any other discussion that we need to have?
I really don't think they're gonna have any trouble obtaining a license. You know, it's been there as long as it has.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
That's Mr. Finneran again, gets second, Ms. Murphy. Findings.
Findings. It's in a B3 zone. Flood zone is VE 15 and AE 14. Lot size is 28,266. It's on a public right-of-way, times 2. Existing is 38.01 over 83.67. Proposed is 39.05 over 83.67. Conservation, not yet. No letters of support or opposition. I did not get the height of it.
11 feet.
Huh?
11 feet, I was ready.
Thank you. I was not supposed to take information, but I just did.
For the plans.
Per the plans, thank you. I think that's all I have for findings.
Currently used as a restaurant. There is a pre-existing encroachment into the public way. Testimony was that to enclose the main entrance due to wind. Any
And a
additional?
$5,000 door.
Well, safety from the ballpark. I remember there used to be nets there.
Any additional findings? Conditions?
Conditions, Concom.
Must obtain and abide by conditions of Concom.
Street open permit,
Opening,
bond.
necessary bond, per plans,
To stay at 100 seats only.
fine. Must obtain a license from the Board of Selectmen concerning the encroachment to the existing way.
No change in seating capacity.
Any change to authorized service area must be permitted per 204 CMR, the Board of Selectmen. Standard hours of work. Given this is the Heights, and I should have asked the question, just have them work with the police department in terms of if there's any materials that might end up in the roadway, or obtain necessary details if need be. It's a little crowded down there at times. Wouldn't be a good time to be doing a project. Any additional conditions or anything, Maureen, from the board?
I think the engineering department wanted the silt sacks
Yes.
installed, and they will inspect that, and no erosion or sediment.
Incorporate any town
Yeah.
referrals.
The work will be done in the off-season, of course, and I present a barrier protection plan to the building inspector of how we're gonna do it already, so, yeah, it won't be any, it'll definitely be the dead of the season while we're doing this work.
Any additional conditions from the board?
Ready?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's a vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night. Continuations now. Getting into our continuations. We have 04223, Raprucci Briones, 24 Prospect Street, Falmouth, requesting modification of special permit 42-96 to utilize the premises as a single-family dwelling and to allow additional habitable space on the second floor of the attached garage. AP, a typo? Is that supposed to be GP? Oh, okay. Yeah, they got it funny. I'm sorry, my apologies. One of our voting members is not here this evening. Mr. Peterson. Was Mr. Potomas here for all of the hearings? I'll appoint him this evening. Just want to make sure that we have 5 members for you, Mr. Clower. Otherwise, ask you if you want to proceed with 4. Since the last hearing, do we have any additions to the file?
Yes.
Yeah, we have new plans.
Got new plans, so I'll let Mr. Clower get into those.
Great.
And we also have a letter
One other.
from the abutter.
Yes, you sent that.
Sorry, I missed
See them
that.
here this evening.
And a photo.
In a photo.
It might be if you flip the section.
The whole section.
Yep. And, yes, right there.
Oh, it's a very long letter. Do I read it in? Everybody? Yes?
Sure.
I think it brought up a number of points, it's hard to summarize that.
It's the letter that we received in email, I think.
I mean, I got it, but I don't know the procedure, incorporated by reference, so.
I'll read it. To the zoning board, my mother-in-law, Margaret Van Amberg, hopefully I said that okay, and her 2 daughters, Ann Clark and Margaret Davis, have concerns about the proposed construction at 24 Prospect and its effect on their abutting property at 55 Counting House Way. I spoke at the last meeting on 6/29 to voice their concerns in opposition to the board regarding the applicant's request for a modification of a special permit. Number 1, the parcel's 2 structures are non-conforming as they do not meet the required setbacks. We feel that the application for modification to a previously granted special permit does not meet the burden required per MGL 40A for a change of use for the detached garage. 2, a previous decision from the board was that there will be no changes to the exterior of the residence other than normal repairs or replacement parts, apart from any necessary egress required by the building code. We are not opposed to any normal repairs, but are concerned about any additions that conflict with the previous decision of the zoning board. Number 3, a previous ruling of the zoning board determined that the detached garage should be used for parking and storage, and that the only plumbing allowed in the building would be a sink and/or a spigot on the first floor. This proposal would contrast with the previous ruling regarding the garage and plumbing. 4, there shall be no taking of borders on this property, as would normally be allowed in the zoning district. This residence is in residentially zoned area, and we believe that by granting a modification to the special permit for a change of use in the detached garage, it would have a far-reaching future ramifications. This space could potentially be used as a bedroom or rented out. My family is very concerned that a business could potentially be operated out of this garage, which is not zoned, for example, as an Airbnb. 5, there shall be no more than 2 dwellings on this site in the principal structure. The addition of a habitable space in the garage would contradict the previous decision made by the zoning board. 6, can we get a clarification on the second to last sentence in the project description? It says that a bedroom will be eliminated in the main dwelling to allow for habitable space in the garage, so there will be no change in the number of bedrooms. This seems a rather insubstantial argument in that 2 spaces in the main dwelling could easily just become bedrooms. Specifically, the first floor proposed family room, which will require no modifications, is currently a bedroom, and the only changes are proposed are the door swing and the second floor's current den, and its proposed change to an office designation. This room has a cased opening, can easily become a future bedroom. From our perspective, this is all the hallmarks of a rather transparent, contrived manipulation of the main dwelling use to get board's approval for a bathroom and a bedroom in the detached garage. When you buy a house, you look at all the available options. The intentions to use this space as proposed may change by the current or future owners and does have compelling relevance to the bedroom designation in the garage. The current owners in their previous application said they have no intentions to have the main dwelling 2-family changed to a single family. But 3 years removed, that is precisely what they are proposing. The applicants have expressed that their intention is to not have a bedroom in the garage, but with that designation, future uses could also include a studio apartment. You see it all the time. It is extremely difficult to police, which we can firsthand attest to. Things change, and as does property ownership, and with that, its use. This is why we are making an argument that the board's decision will have far-reaching effects. We are concerned that a bathroom and a bedroom designation on the second floor of the garage supports our argument surrounding the issues that were raised in the 629 hearing and contradict the previous rulings in the garage usage. In summation, we are good neighbors. This property they're speaking of, has been in the family for 50 years, spanning 4 generations. Our position is that the previously approved special permit addresses the concern of the landowner and do not believe there is sufficient evidence of the applicant meeting the required burden for this proposed project. We are opposed to the application for the construction of a bathroom and designating the space as a bedroom. The applicants expressed their desire to make this finished space on the second floor of the detached garage as a gym. I tried to convey my thoughts regarding the main dwelling and the garage usage, but an exchange between the board caused me to lose my train of thought. The new plans show that one of the main dwelling first floor bedrooms is being removed and future use will be that of a family room. I just want to say that this room is unchanged other than the door swing and essentially remains a bedroom regardless of the applicant's espoused intent. The existing deck and slider on the detached garage have been a source of consternation, and it directly overlooks our backyard, and there have been problems in the past with the deck's usage. The deck and slider's proximity are an intrusion on our privacy and safety that frankly is rather creepy, which was echoed by one of the applicants as she agreed that she found it creepy as well. Even though fixing the garage up to use it as a gym will mean that the stairs and deck will be used with greater frequency, we expressed our willingness to work with the board and applicant to modify existing second floor entry. The barn is a gambrel, so the deck will be larger than what was proposed by the board. A solid utility door in lieu of the slider and a modification of the deck size and adding screening to its surround and on the stairs would be a compromise. We would like to remind the board that other options such as moving the entrance to the front gable end and interior stairs were rejected by the applicants. Any change in use will have a considerable impact. I would like to remind the board that the burden lies with the petitioner and that per Blackman versus Board of Appeals of Barnstable, the board is not required to make rigorous findings of fact with a denial, but is required to make a rigorous finding of facts when it grants a petition. History does tend to repeat itself, and we are very concerned an approval in this case would sooner or later bring us right back to the problems of the past. On behalf of my family, we thank the zoning board for the opportunity to express our concerns and for their fidelity to public service. That's our letter from Todd Davis.
For the applicant.
Good evening. For the record, Kevin Clower. I am for you representing Paul Rapucci and Sarah Briones, the owners of 24 Prospect Street. As has been discussed, seeking permission to modify the existing special permit 42-96, which allowed for the use of the primary dwelling as a two-family and restricted habitable space in the garage. Since our last meeting, we have revised the plans. We've reduced the size of the deck, and we've proposed privacy screening, a 6-foot-tall privacy fence, 6-foot-tall privacy screen that'll be along the backside of the deck, facing the abutters property on Counting House Way. This proposal is a reduction in use. It's going from a two-family down to a one-family. There's no concerns from the health department. It is in line with the neighborhood. It is supported by the majority of the neighbors. There were 10 letters of support that were submitted. And we believe the changes we made to the plan reflect what was discussed and requested by this board and discussed with the abutter, and seemed to be what the abutter was asking for in the letter, talking about a compromise by reducing the deck and implementing the screening. The only change that this request really makes is the removal of the existing special permit use of 2 bedrooms and to remove the condition regarding the garage. Proposed alteration of use does not create any new nonconformities. It eliminates an existing nonconforming use, and the only practical change is for the by right use of this property. I believe this meets all the requirements of the special permit of 10.2A and 12.1E, and I believe that we've addressed what the board expressed as their concerns and desires for the plans at our last hearing.
Board questions. Start with you, Tony.
I have a few questions. The plan itself that's been presented is not scaled. It's dimensioned, but it's not scaled. Is there any reason why this plan has not been scaled? The site plan is.
So I can only take what the architects give me. I believe that on an appropriately sized plan, this is scaled. We'd have to submit plans that meet the building department's requirements for a building permit to match what's being presented to you now.
Well, then I would suggest that if this is approved, that those plans be presented to the board at some point in time. But one of my concerns, the reason I'm asking that question is because a look at the plan, the deck that's being reduced, the letter states that it's going to be reduced to, I've forgotten exactly what it is, it's going to be reduced, but it doesn't show. It does not show up on the plan anywhere as to the size that it's to be. And on the site plan itself, it's still showing 18 feet, 8 inches.
So we didn't revise the site plan as of yet. We're happy to do so, but the site plan has not been revised to reflect these plans.
Well, there can be a lot of confusion created in different departments if we have plans that don't show exactly what's being approved. I mean, I would ask that what I see here as a floor plan, have a dimension put on it and a scale put on it so that it's easily measurable to what that deck should be. I would also want to see that done on the site plan itself that changed. So if is that something that's agreeable?
Sure, and I think if the board was inclined to approve this, that could be a condition prior to the issuance of the special permit.
The length of the deck, I mean, the deck itself and the screening that is being proposed appears to be only along the back of the deck. Is there any reason why that screening would not cover each corner?
I think just from an airflow perspective, it would be, this is, the board didn't specify at the last hearing. We tried to address what we thought the board was asking for. I thought that the screening that was proposed here would be sufficient. If that's the difference between getting it approved and not, there's no reason we couldn't wrap that. But I think from an airflow perspective, it'd be better to keep it off. But
My concern is simply that it's very close to the abutting property and as much privacy that can be maintained. And that's probably doing it by bringing the screen around the corner. Now, I don't know what the rest of the board will say to that, but that is my concern on that matter. Again, just next question would be, I can see here, I have a photograph into the left of the door. It appears to be a light, I can't tell. What type of lights are planned? Again, we're very close to the abutter, and I would be concerned about shedding too much light into the abutter's property. It's a second floor.
sure. So the, do you have an existing light up there? Are you referring to this right here? Are you referring to this right here?
No, in this photograph,
I haven't seen that photograph, so.
If I may, Mr. Chair. Certainly.
and I bring this up only because it's on the second floor, not the ground floor, and can easily shed a lot of light into the,
Right now, it's just a spacer for a light. There is no light currently.
well, will there be a light? It's a dark area.
We would be more than happy to do downlighting that's dark sky compliant.
As far as the screening on the deck is concerned itself, what materials will be used?
I don't know, Mr. Petrucci. He just referred to it as a 6-foot-tall privacy screen. I would typically defer to the architects in this situation. I don't know, some type of fencing that would be aesthetically appropriate and not, provide privacy for both parties here.
Again, it's on the second floor, and it's very close to the abutter. That's why I'm asking. Something that would certainly be in keeping with the architecture of the existing garage. With regard to the room above, the original decision, if I'm correct on this, and I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm not, you were only allowed a sink and/or a spigot, and that would be on the first floor. This plan indicates that there'll be a 3/4 bath. In this town, we have accessory apartment bylaw. We also tend to define bedrooms by Title V. This would, in fact, by that definition, make this a bedroom. Would the applicant be willing to eliminate that bathroom altogether and keep a sink or spigot on the first floor?
I think we'd like to keep the bathroom there, but we did anticipate this being counted as a bedroom, which is why there's a bedroom eliminated in the main house.
And I understand
Yeah.
that, but the way this town tends to define a bedroom is by Title V. This is more than 70 square feet, it has
We're
ventilation.
counting this as a bedroom,
You are counting it as a bedroom?
yes. That's why we've eliminated a bedroom.
I'm sorry, did you apply for an accessory apartment on this?
It's not, there's no cooking facilities there. It's not intended to be used as an accessory apartment. And we'll be glad to include a condition that it's not to be rented separately.
Thank you.
I also agree that I wish you would stay to the original spigot on the first floor. And my other question is, do you have a permit for the charging station outside the garage? Yeah, there's a charging station.
I have no idea, Ms. Murphy. If there was work done, it would have been done pursuant to a building permit presumably, because electrical is the one thing you don't do without a building permit.
So I'll put that as a condition, that make sure it's approved. I know it's a strange question, but I just saw it there, so
Yeah.
I can't, if it's not approved, I'm not going to approve, so.
I went and looked in the backyard of the abutter. That's where this picture is from. And I believe the abutter definitely has an argument. Further, when we discussed this last meeting, we had proposed simply a landing on the back with a door. And my thinking is, and the evidence proves it, and if the planning board goes further and adopts things, we're gonna get more of these. And I'm not against giving the space, but I don't think it should be at the expense of the abutters. My mind is that deck should be no similar than the landing, and as we discussed in the last meeting, the door should be as close to the gambrel as possible. Therefore, reducing the chance that whoever's there is going to be sitting out on the back deck, peering over is it Davis, is that your last name? The Davis's yard. They'd had trouble with it before, and as I say, you didn't reduce it as we asked. And I'm not inclined to vote positively for this as it is. I think a landing and just a door is not unreasonable. I think these people deserve their privacy. They've been used to their privacy, and when this place was used as an apartment, they experienced some negative impacts. And as I say, I think granting these things should not be at the expense of the abutter. I would be much happier if there were just a landing there. I honestly don't see why it isn't put around the front. It would make more sense, and it would make more sense in the utilization of the floor area as well. But I don't think the deck is reduced enough. I mean, you basically reduce the opening by 25%. I think just a door and a landing is sufficient and screened, front and sides.
Any specific questions?
No, why didn't you do it?
So, as we talked about at the last hearing, I said that we would talk with the architect about what they felt the appropriate location for the door was, given the gambrel design of the roof.
But obviously, that's not what happened, because you got a window there.
So that was, the applicant had stated basically that there is an airflow issue here, and the door was intended to be a solid door to provide some airflow from back and front of the building. They like to keep a window there. They kept the window within the screening area rather than outside of the screening area. But really, that's the driving factor there, was they wanted to have a window to allow for some airflow. So, they slid the window over as much as they could, they slid the door over as much as they could, and that's what the architect came back with.
If the door was on the front and the deck was moved around, you could have a window, and I think the abutters would be much happier. As I say, this picture kind of says it all.
But we're proposing a privacy fence like the board had requested, and we did reduce the size of the deck like the board had requested.
Not as the board requested. No, that's my problem with it.
So I think, realistically, even if the window was removed, we're still probably only getting another 2 to 3 feet. The deck currently,
14, bigger down.
thank you, sir, I'll speak right now. So that would bring it down to 11 feet of deck, because the landing area is 4 feet 6 inches. And then we've got right now, we have about 10 feet of deck that extends to the door. So we'd get it to another 3 feet, but I'm still not sure that's going to be sufficient for what you're looking for, Mr. Finneran, because there would still be 11 feet of decking.
I think it should be the minimal size required to allow access and grant them their privacy.
But we've done the privacy fencing to do exactly that. There's no desire here for someone to be using this outdoor space up there other than accessing the garage, the space above the garage.
But the place can be sold.
It can.
That's nothing you can guarantee. I listen to the abutters, and I believe their complaints are legitimate. It seems that you could make this deck smaller.
Frank, any questions?
No, I was not here for the initial hearing, and I didn't expect to be participating tonight. I don't have the detail to ask really good questions here, so I'm going to pass.
Jerry?
I think they come back with a change as we requested. I would disagree with Mr. Finneran that we insisted on a platform there. I know you had specifically said you thought it would be nice.
Well, we didn't get any
Well,
further.
no, wait. I know you thought it would be nice.
We can get into discussion, let's just focus on board questions at this
I guess I'm disagreeing that the board as a whole recommended the platform in existing. I think they have complied with the intent of our discussion, with the screening. I'm inclined to vote this with conditions.
Well, we're not in discussion yet. Do you have any board
Okay.
questions for the applicant?
Good point. Guess I Nice. Diarrhea of the tongue. I will, no further questions.
Public comment. Sir?
Mr. Morse, members of the board. In regards to the revisions.
Introduce yourself so we know.
After reviewing the revisions from 7/12/23, which were received yesterday from Noreen, we just find that they're, underwhelming, and they do not quell our qualms regarding the decks. The drawing shows, you basically stated everything that I was gonna state. It doesn't return back to the gable. It doesn't show it going down the stairs, which is what the board asked for. I mean, this is what the board asked for. It wasn't necessarily what we asked for, but we said that we would, be amenable to looking at it. We have expressed, like Mr. Finneran said, willingness to work with the applicant, suggesting different routes of entry, which was summarily dismissed out of hand. The board's recommendations were not comprehensively addressed in the drawing. The deck size, the addition of the window, that just makes the deck bigger. If their intent is just to enter the space and use it as a gym, why are they so concerned about keeping the length of the deck? And the airflow, I think, is, I'll just leave that to you, gentlemen and ladies. Just looking at it, if you left the deck as is, eliminated the window, it would be 3 feet shorter. If you put a 2.8 or a 3.0 door in there. I know a utility door was mentioned, I don't know if it was by you, Anthony, or not. The door that's in the rendition obviously isn't a utility door, but overall, we're just diametrically opposed to, any bedroom designation up there. And adding a bathroom, it just feels like it just creates an environment where history can repeat itself. It has nothing to do with Mr. Rapucci and his wife. It has to do with usage. And like I said in that letter, Mr. Rapucci 3 years ago said that he had no intentions of changing from a 2-family to a 1-family. We're 3 years removed, and now we're back. Now we're doing this. Things change. People's attitudes change. Times change. Property ownership changes, and we're trying to ensure that the stability of our property. The actual and the necessity of that bathroom. Their argument to me is without merit. I mean, if you look, I talked to 3 people that are realtors, and I showed them the prints, the original prints, not the revised, because the revised doesn't really show anything. And they said, yeah, it's 4 bedrooms to it. And I have to agree with it, I mean, my next door neighbor had a construction company, came over and got me when I was 9 years old. I had a hammer in my pouch I'm 64 now. I don't know everything, but I know a few things. I know there's different ways to do things. I'm against the deck in the back. I think if they have to keep the stairs there, I don't understand why they would want to. I think their property would be better if they moved it to the front gable, like I suggested, or even inside, where you walk in the door like a normal house and just walk up the stairs. That being said, you could always put a dormer on, come up the stairs, have a landing. You don't even come to the back of our property. And that would eliminate that whole deck in our consternation. We still do not want a bathroom and a bedroom up there. We don't feel like it's, like their argument is, holds weight, given the fact that there's basically 4 bedrooms. You can call, we have a huge house. We have 6 bedrooms. We only use 3 as bedrooms. The other 3 are bedrooms, but we use them for different things. And I'm not saying that the Repucci's are going to use them in other ways, but if a realtor comes in, the first thing they're gonna say is, oh, this is a bedroom, this could be easily turned into a bedroom. I mean, the cased opening, let's use the cased opening. For less than $400, you can get a 6-panel pine door for $258 at Home Depot. Studs, they're like $3 a piece. So 8 studs, a door, a sheet of half-inch sheetrock, what's that, $15? Some mud, a couple screws. I mean, for $400, excluding labor, and with paint, for less than $400, you could have a bedroom there. I know that you people have a very difficult job to do, and I appreciate it. It's just that, you know, as Nietzsche said, history has a way of repeating itself, and when certain conditions are met, you know, similar things can happen. By allowing the bedroom and plumbing on the second floor of the detached garage, it only creates the potential for future conflicts. We have no acrimony towards Mr. Repucci or his wife. We're just here as homeowners interested in our interests. We hold no malice towards the Repucci's. We just want to protect our interests. I appreciate the board's indulgence. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any additional public comment? Ma'am?
Margaret Davis, 55 Counting House Way. I would just like to say that, you know, last meeting, it was suggested various things for the new plans. None of those things were addressed. None of them were done. The screening down the side wasn't done, the full screening, we now have a window, so nothing was done that we came back to see. We were trying to work with them, but I really, at the bottom of my heart, believe there should be no bathroom up there and no designation as a bedroom. We've lived through it before. If you don't believe history repeats itself, just look at the setbacks. The rear setback is less than 5 feet when it should be 10. So if you don't believe that history repeats itself, that alone, the setback should be enough to close the case as far as what goes on in that building. It's just too close to the property line. Setbacks are made for a reason, and I think in this case, they should not be overlooked. A decision was made by the previous board, and I think you should seriously consider why it was made. And I just hate to see, Mr. Finneran mentioned that you're going to be getting more of these cases. We live in Newburyport. Newburyport is overcome with these cases. It's affecting the water, the sewer, the schools. People are putting houses in their backyard just because they can now. And I don't want to see that happen. Thank the board for their time.
You have a question, Mr. Finneran?
Yeah, it reminds me of something. I didn't see any stakes for the back lot line. It actually appears that, well, it appears that it doesn't agree with this print. It seems that, well, there was no indication of a back lot line there. There's no stakes there. There's one pink on the other side of the fence. I went in the backyard of his lot and I saw no stakes on his property.
It's on the other side of the fence.
If you want to go up to speak, sir, please go to the microphone and identify yourself. Thank you.
Sorry, my name is Paul Rapucci. I'm the applicant and owner. So, there are stakes. They're on the other side of the fence because the fence wasn't put right on the property line. So the stake is on the corner.
Both sides?
Well, the other side is concrete, driveway, so they couldn't put a stake in the driveway, so. Anyways,
The fence in either back corner, and the property, the lot line is over the fence on both sides?
yep,
I would have seen the, so there, what, do you have a cup tack in the driveway? I did not see that.
there is,
And I did not see any indication of,
we had our.
there's a pink piece of tape on
We
top
had
of the
the
fence
engineer-
that
yes.
seems to
He
jive
put a
with
piece
this
of
print.
tape on the fence, and on the other side of the fence is the stake he put in the ground.
So that pink piece of tape on the fence is the lot line.
Yep,
So your fence is encroaching in Mr. Davis's property then, if that would be the case.
it's not our fence. It's not our fence, it's their fence.
Their fence encroaches onto their property.
Anyways,
It's been there forever.
fence is
It
on there.
appears that.
This is public comment. I want to kind of rein this in. We can get back to.
By the way, and there's a fact. I mean, the lot line,
Mark, we don't, we're
does
not,
not,
we're not going to adjudicate lot lines and disputes about lot lines.
So if
we
I-
went 6 months putting together a staking plan. Did we not?
We did.
But I don't
We're
think
not-
this staking plan is really applicable here to this decision. It might be nice to have information. We have enough information to vote this up or down.
Really?
So-
Where's the lot line in the back?
I
Got
don't
that
need,
information?
I don't need to know that.
So if I could comment, please. You know, this, if the board didn't know about this, this is a shared driveway. If you walked back there, that driveway is a shared driveway. We share it with our butters to the left, to the right of us. The big surprise here is how the previous board even allowed a permission to change this house into a two-family. That's the biggest surprise of all, because our lot is .11 acres. .11 acres, it's tiny, and we share the driveway with the abutters to our right. So to have a two-family house, and then the house next to us is a single-family house. So we have 3 residents sharing that small driveway. That's the biggest surprise here, is how the other board allowed that to happen, and this turned into a two-family. We're actually asking for a reduction in usage. How often does this board get a reduction in usage? We're going from a two-family to a one-family, and we're asking for a measly 300 square feet in the garage for a workout room. And the health board said, okay, that will classify as a bedroom. It's not to be used as a bedroom, it'll classify as a bedroom for the septic, which we have drawn up plans, and the Board of Health approved the plans. A cased opening 4 feet is legit. You can say that comment about any cased opening at 4 feet. Easy to convert it back into a bedroom. But we are going, what the abutter says is this is a considerable impact. It is not a considerable impact. A considerable impact is 3 residences sharing a small driveway that we have, and constantly cars backing out into the street. That's a considerable impact. A considerable impact is multiple cars for all those 3 residents in that small street. By the way, Prospect Street has no two-family houses except for ours. There are no 2 families except on Walker Street when you get close to Main Street. How did it pass to begin with? That's what, that's the biggest question of all. So, how often does this board get to vote on a reduction in usage? We're taking a house that's a two-family, that's way too small for a two-family, the lot's too small for a two-family, the driveway is too small for a two-family, and we're reducing it to 1. That should be a no-brainer for us, that's why we have so many, you read their letter, but I had 10 letters supporting our application. We didn't read those. Our abutters on both sides approved, and the neighbors love us. So, there's a lot to be said here. I think if you're reasonable, you would see this as a reduction in usage, and we already made considerable concessions for the neighbors. you guys didn't specify, we only needed the land, and you said, reduce the deck, we reduced the deck. It's a brand-new slider, we just had it re-sided and the slider. We're gonna take the slider out, put a door in there, put a window for cross ventilation. It's a gambrel, it has one little window in the front, and we're asking for one little window in the back. And we'll totally screen from these guys, we don't wanna see over them. But you know what, if it doesn't change, if it stays the way it is, we have full use of the deck, right? So, I think it's gonna be better for the neighbors once we have a smaller deck and we have it screened. It'll be way better for them. If you want us to screen down the side, up the stairway, we can do that, so. I mean, that's what I have. We have made considerable concessions. It's not cheap to replace the slider, put in a door, change the deck, put up screening. It's reasonable. What we're doing is reasonable. Thanks.
Any additional public comment?
So if I can just speak to some of the board comment and public comment. So it's interesting, you know, having looked at the special permit, it was a conversion bylaw. They established that there had been use of this property as a two-family. So it was allowed to be converted into a two-family back in 1996. I think looking at it now, it doesn't, you know, it's a tight spot for a two-family, and they're trying to, and the reason for the restriction and the habitable space was so that it would be only a two-family. That's why they said no habitable space above the garage at that point. What we're trying to do is reduce this to a one-family. Regarding the bedroom counts, I would just say the health department agreed with the bedroom determination, and a 4-foot cased opening is the town's policy typically as to how to eliminate privacy relative to a bedroom. And just that whether or not there's a bathroom in the garage, it would still count as a bedroom under the Title V regulations. So we're still gonna have to do take the same steps as eliminating a bedroom in the main house, regardless as to whether or not there's a bathroom there. I think just from a convenience standpoint, their desire to have a bathroom there makes a lot of sense. Having heard the board's comments and concerns, I think that there's some modifications that can be made to these plans. If need be, I think the desire for a window is normal there and makes some sense from both a natural light and ventilation standpoint. But if the board is adamantly opposed to it, then I suppose we have no choice. So I'd welcome some discussion by the board on that. But otherwise, you know, I think there's a few things that we could do that maybe weren't specified at the last hearing. And this is the first I've heard about screening up the stairs, but they've said they have no problem with doing that. We can propose that. So, you know, Mr. Chair, if the board would be willing to have some discussion, just so we can understand what it is that you are looking for, to the extent there's any changes that are needed, we can do that. But that would require you guys having discussion prior to closing.
That was going to be my suggestion to the board. Yeah. Any additional presentation?
No, that's about it.
Why don't we have a little discussion? Anybody like to start?
I'll start. I think they have made considerable changes, maybe not enough to satisfy everybody. I think we can condition this so that it cannot be an accessory apartment, it cannot be a bedroom. I think that's why we have conditions. So it doesn't bother me that there's a bathroom and shower up there. I don't like to speculate on what could be done. I think we can put conditions in where if they abuse it, people can go to the zoning enforcement officer. I think it's an improvement from a two-family to a one-family. I don't see the benefit of the screening along the staircase. And I leave it up to the board if they want the screening to go around the corner. I don't necessarily think it's needed. I think it would improve airflow, but I mean, I don't think it impacts the neighbor's privacy, at least in the neighbor to the rear. I think that's about it.
Thank you, Jerry. Frank, would you like to add anything?
Well, I'm not voting on this, but one thing is, I do have a curiosity question. It's been represented several times that in 1996, the ZBA approved this as a two-family house. Is it in fact being used as a two-family house?
So, not currently, but the plan is to actually change the
Well, when was the last time it was used as a two-family?
So I actually went to, it's been a few years now, so I went to building department and asked if we could change the classification of it, and they said you'd need to modify the special permit. Simply abandoning it wouldn't suffice.
Okay, we're just looking at the plans here, it doesn't look like there's any provision for a two-family house in there.
This is, the plans you're looking at are just the revised plans. There was an existing set of plans that was submitted previously.
Okay, thank you.
I believe, is it not correct that the two-family was allowed in the front because the garage was being used as an illegal apartment, and the whole thing started as an enforcement?
I believe
That's the history of it.
I believe that the two-family was allowed first, and then there was an illegal use of the garage by a prior owner. That's my understanding.
And then it was conditioned to be no habitable space, and the...
No, there was always that condition.
Kind of weighed in earlier. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, like I said, I mean, our conversation was that the door could be, you said it was a gambrel, and I said it didn't look like it'd be more than 16 inches. And you said you'd allow the architect to determine that. Well, again, the picture states it. I mean, if we're going to allow this extra space, I don't think it should be detrimental to the abutter. I still say that you should get by with a door in the back and remove the deck, you know, a three-foot landing and a 3-foot in front of the door, and that should be sufficient. I thought that's where we were headed. Guess I was wrong.
So my concerns, just weighing in, I apologize for not doing it earlier. I think I agree with certain other members of the board regarding the bathroom. I think the bathroom, for me, is what's going to be problematic with this. It just invites a significantly, potentially greater use of that particular space, legal or otherwise. I appreciate the steps your clients have done about the privacy screening. I am very concerned, given without it, that this really just does kind of overlook the yard. I applaud them for wanting to come to get into compliance about reducing this from a multifamily to a single family. But right now, Mr. Clower, my hang-up is the bathroom. I just don't think it's necessary if this is just going to be an exercise room at this point. Suzanne?
I'm a ditto, that's what I was gonna say.
Anything else? Tony?
That's all I have.
I agree with the removal of the bathroom. I do believe the screening should be brought around the corner. I don't care about it going down the stairs, at least the corner. Lighting, I think, is very important, being so close to the property line, that it be either a low light, dim, down light, stair lighting, rail lighting, something like that, so that people can see where they're going. Very, very important to me is that the plans that become a part of this approval be corrected to show, the site plan be corrected to show the size of the deck, if that's what the board votes. I believe that the architectural plans, I mean, this was drawn by an architect, yet it's not scaled. And without a scale and without measurements on that, and I'm just gonna go, the measurement is missing for the deck on this floor plan. Without that, it just invites confusion down at the building department. And I think that, so these plans should be, floor plans should be dimensioned and scaled. And that's really all I have.
Okay.
Would you like a moment with your client before we proceed any further?
I'd like to request a continuance. I'm going to do that even without speaking to my clients, because that's where we're going.
Can I ask a question? Can the window go anywhere else but looking at the
Well, it
neighbors?
being a gambrel, you can't really put it on the sides, so they could move it outside of the screening area, but then there's a window overlooking the neighbor's yard.
Okay.
It makes sense for them to want a window there if there's no slider. Whether it be, I don't want to come back here with a plan that shows a window not in a screened area and then have that be a point of contention. But I think it's normal for there to be a desire to be a window at each end of a gambrel.
What are we looking at date-wise tonight?
I would think August 3rd.
Is that date for you, Mr. Clower?
Yeah, I'll be here. Just have 5 things in front of you.
I could ask the board to weigh in on something.
Certainly.
Actually, as I say that, we need time to revise plans. And an August 3rd hearing date would require plans to be submitted this upcoming Tuesday. So as much as I would like to move this forward as quickly as I possibly can, I don't think it's realistic that we'll have revised plans for you this coming Tuesday.
How much time are you suggesting?
What's the date beyond that?
August 24th.
Point of clarification for the board. I understand where the board's coming from with the full bathroom. It is an exercise room we're proposing. How about just a shower being there?
Get more exercise if you walk back to the house. and
I'm asking the board if that's a contention.
I don't, at this point, see the need for a bath.
Okay.
24th would be fine, Mr.
Sink
Chair.
and so on is fine, or a toilet, but I don't see the need for a half or three-quarter bath.
Okay. Thank you.
That's me. I
No,
can't speak for
I
the rest of
think-
the board.
Okay, Suzanne, yeah.
Me too.
And I need to have a clarification. I'm not sure what you just said.
I said take away the bathroom, the sink, and just have a shower there. So it doesn't support a full bedroom if that's the concern, but exercise room.
Conversely, Mr. Morris just seemed to indicate that a toilet and a sink would be okay, and I just want to have an understanding here.
I candidly, in reflecting this, I would just, for anything other than a sink, I think is just inviting a problem. It's a hang-up for me at this point.
Okay,
As it is for me.
okay.
And that's a previous condition anyway.
Right.
But we are modifying a special permit because that condition allowed a 2-family use.
Continuation, we say?
Yes, that second, end of August, work for you?
The 24th would be fine.
Your hand up, sir?
Excuse me, Kevin. Just have a question, well, actually, a statement regarding the entrance. I believe the board said that the door should be located as close to the edge as possible. Now, putting this window in only makes the deck larger. So the window in that spot is not compliant with that request from the board. Also, because it is a gambrel on the gable end, the deck does need to be larger than simply just a landing. So it would need to be almost 11 feet in total length. Like I said, there are other options, such as a dormer. You can come at the top of the steps, go into the door that way,
I don't
eliminate
mean
the
to cut
deck.
you off, sir, but we're getting into kind of repetitive.
I understand that,
The
sir.
question I'll put for you is, are you available for that August date,
24th.
August 24th?
Unfortunately, no. We have a wedding. Can we make it after that?
How does the board feel?
He's been here all the other hearings.
I don't know, well, I'm mixed on that. I don't know to the extent that abutters necessarily should determine. I think we know what the concern is, to the extent that you get agreement with, let's say, the window. If they don't mind the window overlooking their property, there's a number of things you probably could do to reach agreement with them.
So the reason,
I'm just asking.
the reason I'm asking the date about the abutter is that we've had many hearings where people are proposing alterations have worked, and suddenly everybody's happy. So, and I think it's
Okay, good
important
point.
to sometimes have people coming back. I realize that I don't like to kick things down the road considerable periods of time, but this has been a contentious hearing, and I would like to, just why I've been rather lenient with time in everyone's presentation, so that's why I'm asking for the indulgence of the board if we want to perhaps go beyond that date,
It's okay with me.
possibly getting to yes, or something that's agreeable to everybody.
Could I ask another question?
Sure, Jerry.
Moving of the window would it impose on his privacy? If they agreed to move the window, is that acceptable to you? To be on the screened area?
You know, well, it's not ideal. I mean, you could still move.
No, just so they'll know. I mean, it's.
No, not really.
Okay.
But I mean, you could still move the door closer to the gable end if you decided to go that way. Like I was trying to say, there's other options. I mean, I don't need to engineer this for them, but there are easier options
We have a date in early September.
that would
The 7th?
negate the deck, the need of the deck completely. We wouldn't even be here.
Mr. Clower?
I'll be here the 7th.
You available the 7th, sir?
Excuse me?
You available September the 7th?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to continue till September 7th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Give that to Jerry. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Continue to September the 7th. I believe that concludes our continuations. Next, we have, thank you, good night. We have open meeting. Taking both up this evening, Noreen?
We are tabling minutes.
Tabling minutes. Board discussion.
I have something I'd like to say tonight. I don't know if you want it under updates or discussion. Take it away. I would like to clarify the record. On June 22nd, after our hearings, the ZBA received an email from an observer. The email contained misinformation, and I would like to set the record straight as I was called out by my name, spelt wrong. The observer stated that I said the word bogus and that you can buy anything. Neither of these statements came out of my mouth, and I challenge anyone to review the video as this is inaccurate. I appreciate this time for me to clear the air and my name.
Thank you, Suzanne. Any
So that will
additional-
be entered into the minutes for tonight.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. I was taken back by the statement that you read, and I was also taken back by the fact that some of these board members were aware of the letter that we received from Richard, and some of us weren't. The open meeting law is supposed to provide that we're all equally informed, and then that would have fallen to either Noreen or yourself, and it didn't. I don't care what you say about me, but I think you owe Suzanne an apology. Further, you commented on something within the 20-day period, which you shouldn't have. And seeing how this is going to continue, I'll just keep the rest of my comments for later, but I think it was entirely inappropriate.
Any additional board updates?
I'm confused, but no additional update. So we can end tonight. I'm sure we'll discuss it later.
So Noreen, as the ZBA, and I as chair, met with the town administrator and town council regarding our request for special town council for the upcoming 40B project.
Good.
Or possible upcoming 40B project. What our request was. Town council made it very clear that they felt that they were able to meet the needs of the board for any project coming in, despite the size. They also made us aware that they had been attending numerous meetings of the land use subcommittee, that they were very much aware of the various issues coming up with this particular proposed project. The town administrator is going to will make a recommendation to the full board as to whether or not they're going to recommend the appointment of monies for special town council or not. I made the town council as well as more aware of what the board's vote was, what our concerns were. She has reiterated back to town council that she would be up to the challenge and that they're prepared to go forward representing our needs. As to whether or not what the actual, I think at this point, did our town manager give a indication of where he's going one way or the other, or?
I haven't heard. I did not see it on their upcoming agenda, so I'm not sure if it falls under something else or not.
I'm assuming we could get money if we need it, or if town council says they need special counsel or something. You don't have to answer that, I'm assuming it's within the procedural framework. I don't know, is it 40B? I don't know if we can charge it to the applicant if we don't put it up front?
No.
Cannot,
Okay.
absolutely not.
In terms of discussion about what the response was, what's the board's feeling on this issue?
I have to respect their opinion. I mean, I wish we had special counsel, but, you know, I'm not gonna,
I think part of this request was because initially we had little or no help from town council, but when we had our yearly meeting or whatever, we voiced that concern, and they came through for us. If they believe they can handle it, fine by me. And if it turns out it appears to us that that isn't the case, then I think it should be brought up again, but I don't, if they request it, I don't see why we would turn them down, and if they let us down, then we should broach the subject again, I think.
I'd just like to clarify that I disagree that we have not gotten the support of town council when we need it. You know, maybe they're late here or there, but I think it's kind of
Initially,
broad
Jerry.
statement.
Let me ask the question, have things improved after our little meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, they have.
Yes,
Okay,
they have.
then that's the key.
And we,
That's
the whole
the key.
thing came about because there were a number of us who thought we weren't getting help. I mean, we didn't have town council's number.
That
We do
specific-
now. I
that's-
mean,
That
it's-
specific issue, or I should say, point was raised, and I would agree
Yeah.
that since our board retreat with town council,
Yeah.
I think the
I
lines of
think
communication have been
Brian's
open, and I think that the perception about receptiveness and so on has been significantly better. Frank?
Okay.
May I ask a question on this?
Sir.
Has the town council ever employed, there are 40B consultants out there, they're all over the place. Have we ever used it here in town?
Yes.
Yes.
we have.
And we lost a big case using one.
Oh,
And the
I
point was
shouldn't say
specifically
that.
made is that we lost a lot of our conditions at the hack, and it just gave the town a large bill.
Shouldn't say we lose cases because
It wasn't,
you know,
the hack overruled our decisions, or our conditions.
Which they could
the
have done.
batting average
earlier.
of communities before the Housing Appeals Committee is under 100.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
This is a very huge case we're about to take
Well, I know,
on. It's
it absolutely is,
It's
but,
in phasing. I don't know if anyone's in this town has dealt with the phasing 40B. I know I never have, and I've dealt with probably 20 40Bs. I've done a 400-unit project. It's very important to have a lawyer from start, not to like, oh geez, we're in trouble now. And you need to have someone on board.
So what
I
was,
feel.
I think
what
we
was,
will,
rep-
one way or the other, there's gonna be somebody on board and here every time.
what was represented is
Question
that,
of who it
and
is.
it was specifically asked, was if someone from town council would be present at all the meetings.
No.
The answer was no, but that Brian does watch every meeting of the ZBA, and that it would be improper for an attorney to necessarily always immediately ask for a question of an attorney, that they would need time to look at the issue and respond.
So he'll be watching it on the video.
He says he watches all of our meetings.
Good to know.
Any additional thing, Frank? Suzanne, anything else, or your feelings?
I'm just pretty worried about it. I think we're gonna need someone that's strong in here and that knows 40B, knows the process. These people are well-versed in it, this company, Saxon, and it's a big project. It's gonna be very important.
I agree with you very much. I have to ask a question, though. Has anybody walked the site with Mass Housing yet?
Oh, you didn't have mass housing with
Right, so Mass Housing did schedule a site walk. The site walk was not actually a site walk, other than we all met at a section of the property. Conservation has actually walked the property, but they alone. It's heavily wooded, so it's not probably ideal for,
us to go roaming around, yes.
Does our town council communicate with Mass Housing on a regular basis?
so the town has issued a letter to Mass Housing with input from various town committees.
The select board did.
Yes.
Oh, that's already been sent, I think.
Yeah, that's already been sent, I
To
do know
not
that.
support the project,
Yes.
As presented.
as presented.
Oh,
Correct.
okay.
And by the way, town council would have no communication with Mass Housing, that would not be appropriate.
Or would not be
No.
appropriate.
So the question, I'll just kind of bring this back, if we, would be the position of the board at this point to accept the representation of town council, that they be allowed to be, we will withdraw a request for special town council, and then we could certainly, without prejudice, we could always reverse the position if it becomes apparent that we're not getting proper responses or they're not up for the challenge.
Town council feels they can handle this and they're willing to undertake it, and I think we should accept that. It's going to be a daunting task for them, but they're signing up for it.
That's more or less my feeling, Mark.
I feel the same way, and if the time comes when we see we're not being assisted as necessary, we voice it then. We might be a little behind the 8 ball, but, okay, if he says he can do it, I trust him.
Suzanne?
I'm hoping for the best.
Cross your fingers. Knock on wood.
I agree with Frank.
Do I have the consent of the board to communicate that with the town administrator and town council at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
So I guess the other option that I would point out to the board is that Mass Housing does offer technical assistance. There are a number of 40B specialists that they have available, and so the cost for that would be borne through fees that have been previously paid by communities. So we would be essentially eligible to get some professional assistance during the hearing process from Mass Housing. So I guess the other option I would put out to the board is that this would be sort of supplementing town council, and it wouldn't override their role, but it would provide someone who would be present at the hearings.
I think you're
And to
gonna
help
find that
procedurally,
Correct.
which is huge.
the role of town council during the hearing process is not going to be as important as the role of the technical assistance that we're
Correct.
going to get.
Correct.
Town council role really comes in when you have made a decision, or perhaps helping you draft the decision. And then if there's an appeal to HAC or to the zoning board of, to Superior Court, that's where they really earn their keep.
So I think if it makes sense for the board, I will proceed to have discussions with Mass Housing. They have sort of a finite window, whereas you would ask for assistance. It has to be before the hearing begins,
Opens.
but it has to be after the applicant applies.
Right.
So I've already had a Zoom meeting with Mass Housing to kind of discuss what they have available to us. We are technically eligible for this assistance, so I think if we're not having special town council assist us, that I would recommend that
Great,
we accept that offer.
absolutely.
Now, when we were dealing with traffic and engineering, Brian Wall mentioned that the county has
The Cape Cod Commission.
Cape
yeah.
Cod
Yep.
Commission. Do they also have 40B specialists on board?
I can check with them. I mean, I think Cape Cod Commission seems to be kind of stretched pretty thin these days, from what I'm understanding, but I can certainly reach
I don't
out to
think they
them.
have 40B specialists, they have like groundwater specialists, septic specialists, wastewater
Traffic.
specialists, traffic specialists, things like that, but they don't have 40B
Right.
specialists.
We also have to think about the peer review people. Start to get that lined up at some point, too.
I think Noreen, the board is saying we'll take all the help we can get.
Yeah, pretty much. Hold our hands.
Understood.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Any additional board updates? Future agenda items?
Next week.
Seeing none.
Okay, thank you.
Our next meeting will be held on July 27th, 2023, at 6:30 PM in the Selectmen's Meeting Room here at Town Hall. We are adjourned.
I'll-